Tonight on NewsWatch, taking a stand against Iran's nuclear program. Why the U.S. says we won't be backing down.
Plus, snow spreads its way across much of the country. The latest on the system heading toward the mid-Atlantic.
And how churches in America are stepping up as a voice in immigration reform. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Lori Johnson. The vice president says the United States is not bluffing. It will use military force to stop Iran's nuclear program if it has to.
But Israel's prime minister warns that Iran is moving ahead and that time is running short to stop it from building nuclear weapons.
Dale Hurd has tonight's top story.
Just weeks from President Obama's first trip to the Holy Land, the White House was stressing the strong ties between the U.S. and Israel.
From the moment the president took office, he has acted swiftly and decisively to make clear to the whole world and to Israel that even as circumstances have changed, one thing has not: our deep commitment to the security of the state of Israel. That has not changed.
But tension is building over Iran's nuclear weapons program. Speaking to America's largest pro-Israel lobby, Vice President Joe Biden reaffirmed the U.S. pledge to intervene militarily to stop Iran's nuclear program, but only if all other options fail.
Our strong preference, the world's preference, is for a diplomatic solution. So while that window is closing, we believe there is still time and space to achieve the outcome. If God forbid the need to act occurs, it is critically important for the whole world to know we did everything in our power. We did everything that reasonably could have been expected to avoid any confrontation.
Also speaking to the gathering by satellite, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pushed back against U.S. hesitation.
Diplomacy has not worked. Iran ignores all these offers. It's running out the clock. It's still not crossed the red line I drew at the United Nations last September. But Iran is getting closer to that red line.
Secretary of State John Kerry in Saudi Arabia warned that the window of opportunity for a diplomatic solution on Iran's nuclear activities cannot remain open indefinitely. And he told Iran that talks cannot become an instrument for delay. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Joining us with more on the situation with Iran is Niall Gardner, director of the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom at the Heritage Foundation. Niall, the Obama administration says it's not bluffing, but if Israel decides to launch a preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear facilities, do you believe the United States will stand behind Israel?
Well, certainly we saw some very tough talk earlier this week from Vice President Joe Biden addressing Israeli activists on the issue of the Iranian nuclear threat. But I have to say that the whole approach taken by the Obama presidency on the Iranian nuclear issue has been one of weakness. And when Biden says that the administration isn't bluffing, I think there are a great deal of skeptical people out there who think that President Obama doesn't necessarily have the strength really to stand with Israel in the face of a barbaric threat from the Iranian regime. Let's not forget, of course, this is a dictatorship in Tehran that has threatened to wipe Israel off the face of the map.
By doing nothing and taking a wait-and-see attitude toward Iran, has the U.S. actually emboldened Iran to continue its nuclear ambitions?
Yeah, I do think the Iranian regime has been strengthened in recent years, thanks to the weakness of the current U.S. administration that has sent some very, very mixed signals to Tehran. On the one hand, it has supported the imposition of some strong sanctions against the Iranian regime. On the other, it has held out the possibility of negotiations with the Iranian government. And I do think that there is a significant lack of credibility coming from the Obama administration at this time. They have, after all, adopted a policy, broadly speaking, of appeasement towards Tehran over the last few years.
How close do you think Iran is to having a functional nuclear weapon?
I think the Iranian regime actually is very, very close to gaining nuclear weapons capability. I think that according to some Israeli estimates, we are looking at perhaps just a few months, perhaps a year away or so from Iran becoming a regime capable of producing nuclear weapons. So the risk is very, very real. Benjamin Netanyahu made an impassioned presentation before the United Nations a few months ago, emphasizing the scale of the threat. And it's a very, very real one. After all, this is a very dangerous rogue regime. It has made it very clear that it intends to use nuclear weapons when it gets hold of them. We should not underestimate the threat coming from Tehran. And all of this, of course, is taking place against a backdrop of significant cuts in U.S. military spending and also very mixed messages being sent by Washington to Israel, America's closest ally in the region.
All right, Niall Gardner with the Heritage Foundation. Thanks for being with us, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
The United Nations Security Council is preparing new sanctions for North Korea over its nuclear program. It's believed the country may have as many as 12 nuclear weapons, a number that could be growing.
They've started to enrich uranium. We do have to get used to the idea that for the foreseeable future we may have this persistent problem. It's a low simmer, but it doesn't boil over and it doesn't go away.
Today's closed-door meeting at the UN is a result of North Korea's test of a nuclear weapon just last month. Members of the Security Council say the new sanctions on Pyongyang will be the toughest ever imposed by the United Nations. In response, North Korea today threatened to cancel the 1953 ceasefire that ended the Korean War.
Sequester cuts may be in place, but many government agencies are still hiring. 400 job ads were posted on the first day after the cuts, many in departments that are considering furloughs. Of the jobs posted, nearly a quarter were in medical or public health, 67 were in management or clerical services, and another 21 were in information technology. Experts say the move could reveal just how agencies plan to increase department savings, either by attrition or letting people go.
House Republicans are looking to soften the potential damage of those across-the-board spending cuts. They've introduced a plan to fund day-to-day federal operations through September. It would also head off a potential government shutdown later this month. The measure would leave in place automatic cuts of 5% to domestic agencies and 7.8% to the Pentagon. The legislation would then award the Defense Department its detailed 2013 budget, while other agencies would be frozen in place at 2012 levels. The GOP funding measure is set to advance through the House on Thursday.
While a budget battle wages in Washington, Wall Street seems to be doing okay. The Dow Jones Industrial Average reached its highest level today, jumping more than 100 points just after opening. Experts say the surge was powered by China's strong economic growth targets and a jump in European retail sales. Stocks were pushed up more after a report that the service sector in the U.S. is at its highest level of activity in a year. The Dow closed at a record high today, 14,254.
A new measure to protect the rights of pro-life employers, insurers, and medical workers has been introduced on Capitol Hill. Congressional correspondent John Jessup explains how it might impact the contraception mandate in Obamacare.
For months, we've been reporting on the legal challenges to the health care law's Health and Human Services contraception mandate and how critics say it is a violation of their First Amendment rights. With the announcement of this new act, it puts a personal twist on how the mandate affects religious employers, faith-based organizations, and their employees.
In an attempt to turn the tide on what they call an all-out assault on religious freedoms, a trio of House Republicans introduced the Healthcare Conscience Rights Act. The goal is to protect freedom of conscience as it relates to abortion and to give potential victims the right to seek relief in court if they're forced to participate in procedures that violate their religious or moral beliefs. If it were law, it would give greater protections to nurses like Kathy Senzone DiCarlo. She says she was forced to take part in an abortion in 2009, even though the hospital knew of her objections as a practicing Catholic. 4 years later, she says she still has nightmares from the procedure.
I feel strongly about caring for the sick and giving life and being true to my calling as a nurse. And to be forced to do this was anathema. It's everything that you thought was not in America.
Now, this is solely a GOP effort led by a handful of House Republicans. They are requesting House leadership to include this in the upcoming continuing resolution to fund their government. At this point, leadership has not decided whether to allow that request. John Jessup, CBN News, Capitol Hill.
Thank you, John. A bipartisan group of senators is proposing a bill to toughen the federal penalties for people who illegally purchase firearms for someone else. Lawmakers say the proposal will help law enforcement prosecute gun crimes. Under the bill, the practice of gun trafficking would be a federal crime for the first time. People who buy a firearm for someone who is banned from doing so, like felons and illegal immigrants, would face penalties of up to 20 years in prison. The bill also would punish the person who breaks the law by selling the gun.
The Arkansas Senate has voted to override the governor's decision on what could be the most restrictive abortion ban in the nation. Governor Mike Beebe recently vetoed a measure banning most abortions once a fetal heartbeat can be detected using an ultrasound, which is usually around 12 weeks into a pregnancy. The governor tells lawmakers the bill is unconstitutional. Beebe used the same reasoning last week when he vetoed a 20-week abortion ban. Lawmakers quickly overrode that veto, too. Each chamber needs only a simple majority to override a veto in Arkansas.
8 former Drug Enforcement Administration leaders are calling on the White House to sue Colorado and Washington. Both states have legalized recreational marijuana use, and the former DEA officials say the federal government is not moving fast enough to reverse the move. Marijuana is still illegal under federal law, but one of the former DEA leaders says not acting will create a domino effect in which other states follow Colorado and Washington's lead.
Coming up, how New York City businesses are gearing up for the ban on sugary drinks.
The game show of biblical proportions is back with more action, more fun, more stars. Kirk Franklin, Mary, and more nuns.
The nuns just whooped you, man.
The American Bible Challenge Season 2 premieres Thursday, March 21st at 9, 8 Central, only on GSN. Visit GSNTV.com to find GSN in your area.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of Grip Go. You can get the amazing Grip Go with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete Grip Go systems for just $14.95.
To order Grip Go for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
The game show of biblical proportions is back with more action, more fun, more stars. Kirk Franklin, Mary, and more nuns.
The nuns just whooped you, man.
The American Bible Challenge Season 2 premieres Thursday, March 21st at 9, 8 Central, only on GSN. Visit GSNTV.com to find GSN in your area.
Welcome back. A late season winter storm is barreling through the heartland on a path to the mid-Atlantic.
The nation's capital and 19 other states are in its path. And as Ephraim Graham reports, for some areas, it could be the biggest snowfall of the winter.
Travel is a nightmare in the upper Midwest. In Colorado, poor visibility and hazardous conditions led to a multiple car pileup on I-70. Several accidents later, officials closed the highway completely. Slippery Minnesota roads also had drivers losing control.
This guy's going to ditch. He's going to ditch.
I'd like to see this be the end of the winter season, but I've lived in Minnesota my entire life, and I'm not counting on it.
19 states in all, from Montana to Virginia, are under winter watches and warnings.
This year we've already had 4 blizzards and now this winter storm and several others, so it's been quite a busy winter.
In North Dakota, plows cleared roads after more than a foot of snow hit some parts of the state.
We're dealing with, freezing rain to start and then snow on top, so they're really icy.
Chicago could see up to 10 inches of snow later today, and Washington, D.C. is bracing for its biggest snowfall in 2 years.
It bypassed us in the winter months, and here it is. March is roaring in like a lion, so it's better be prepared.
The storm will continue into the Appalachians and mid-Atlantic by Wednesday and Thursday. Forecasters say it's possible it could dump heavy snow in the Northeast and New England as well. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Wow, those poor people. Well, in other news, companies and food suppliers are bracing for the soda ban that will hit New York City next week. It's part of Mayor Bloomberg's efforts to fight obesity by banning sugary drinks over 16 ounces. Many businesses worry the new law will hurt their bottom line and force restaurants to purchase new glassware and reprint menus to accommodate the ban.
These are all gone. This one becomes the small, and then we'll add a 16-ounce will be the large.
It is very, very expensive, from the printing, from the glassware to the server tips. Everything's a trickle down when you make a decision like that.
I think we're looking at $20,000 to $30,000 less per year.
Wow. Well, the ban takes effect Tuesday, March 12th. Establishments will have a 3-month grace period to comply. The fine is $200 per sale.
Up next, a look at a new force in immigration reform coming from America's church pews.
Listen up for an amazing offer that can change the way you hear.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that?
Frustrated with your hearing?
What did he say?
Well, hear better now. Introducing the fully rechargeable MSA 30X, a revolutionary device that features the latest microsound amplification technology that can barely be seen. Independently tested to help you hear up to 30 times better. It turns ordinary hearing into extraordinary hearing. MSA 30X works by capturing and amplifying sound waves, yet its lightweight ergoacoustic design is discreet. It form-fits in and around either ear.
I forget I'm even wearing it.
And MSA 30X is powerful. Hear clearly in restaurants. Never miss another word on TV or at the movies.
My wife complains that I have the volume up on the TV too loud.
And I didn't want to be in the same room with them.
Now I can hear everything clearly.
Simply adjust the volume as you desire. Other units use so many batteries and they're difficult to change. But the MSA 30X is completely rechargeable. Simply plug it into the wall.
I tried other devices that had batteries, but they were always such a pain to change and so costly. But this is rechargeable, so I figure I save hundreds a year.
Bulky sound amplifiers can cost hundreds, but try MSA 30X for just $59.95 and we'll include a cleaning brush and 5 comfort tips. But wait, in this special TV offer, we'll cut the price in half. Now you can hear up to 30 times better for just $29.95. But there's even more. We'll double the offer free. Just pay additional processing and handling. Wear them both or give one to a loved one. Did you hear that? That's 2 MSA 30Xs for just $29.95. The MSA 30X Hear Better Now offer. Get 2 for just $29.95.
All I can say is just try it. It could change your life.
To order the MSA 30X sound amplifier, call 1-800-535-0654. That's 1-800-535-0654. Or you can go to MSA30X.com. Call or go online now.
Politicians in Washington often just talk about immigration reform, but in the heartland of America, spiritual leaders are taking a grassroots approach.
They're teaching people what the Bible has to say about it. And as Heather Sells explains in tonight's Focus Report, that could finally lead to some action.
At First Presbyterian in Colorado Springs, immigrants flood in every week. They're refugees newly arrived in the U.S. and eager to learn English. Church members are tutoring them and getting a dose of inspiration themselves.
Most of them take the bus and transfer 2 or 3 times to get to class. And they're just so diligent about showing up every day.
It's just amazing to me the courage that it takes for them to come here.
This interaction brings the immigration issue directly to church members and heightens their awareness of the national debate.
Once you have names and faces to put with it, it no longer is this issue that you just read about in the newspaper.
But not all churches here get so actively involved. For years, many churches in Colorado have simply been unaware of immigrant communities right in their midst. That's one reason why a group called the Evangelical Immigration Table decided to reach out.
Well, I think that when you don't know immigrants and you don't interact with them, it's just not on your radar.
The group began just last summer, and already its membership includes major players like Focus on the Family and the Southern Baptist Convention. In Washington, the EIT is pushing for immigration reform. It wants to secure U.S. borders, protect the unity of the family, and provide an opportunity for earned citizenship.
I don't know if a few years ago we were quite in the game, but we definitely recognize our need to be there and to work together with other stakeholder groups.
The EIT is also taking its ground game to churches in states where the immigration population has exploded. States like Florida, Texas, and Colorado. The goal, teach what the Bible says about immigrants and encourage ministry. A video campaign says it all.
I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me.
New Life in Colorado Springs is one church that's already on board.
As a Christ follower, I think we're compelled by Scripture, by Christ, to welcome anyone who is among us that needs help.
Although Pastor Boyd says he respects the rule of law, caring for immigrants is, in his view, just simple theology. New Life has broadened its understanding of the issue with the creation of a women's health clinic. It attracts immigrants, both legal and undocumented.
As we get to know our patients, we find that these are incredibly complicated and difficult issues, and everyone has a unique story.
Rena Thompson translates for Spanish-speaking patients. Many women, she says, cross the border alone and send money back to family.
I couldn't imagine having my kids in another country and never seeing them, probably never again.
Of course, not everyone agrees along these theological lines. The Center for Immigration Studies argues that while the Bible calls individuals to acts of kindness, governments must provide justice. Which view prevails could be decided in the coming months in Washington. Evangelicals have the numbers to potentially sway lawmakers, but many haven't thought through the issue or how it relates to their faith. Consider, only 7% of adults in the U.S. with positions on immigration say religion is the most important influence on their view. Compare that to gay marriage, where religion influences 35%. Warren's hope, educate enough people on the ground and ultimately force Washington to pass comprehensive reform.
My end goal is to see the church be a part of that process and not to kind of bury their head in the sand or be a part of what drives that negative rhetoric. Anti-immigrant sentiment should not be in our pews.
In the meantime, church attitudes are already changing. For Pam Vanderpool, it started when she began to more carefully examine her Bible.
He talks about the widow, the orphan, the stranger in the land, these vulnerable groups. I have to respond to that, or I'm just pretending Christianity. I'm not really doing it.
And a drive around Colorado Springs shows visible changes as well, like the sign outside Bethel Mennonite Church that shows a Peruvian immigrant congregation now meets here.
They are around 200, we are around 30, 40 people, but they said, you are the church of God. You are our brothers, and you need to use the same sanctuary we are using.
Across the state, pastors like Lazaro meet monthly to pray for immigrants. They're not political meetings, but who knows? Such prayers could influence not only hearts in Colorado, but those in Washington as well. Reporting in Colorado, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, the reason behind this woman's public tears of joy.
hurt. My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes! Introducing Strut Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Strut Soul Angels promotes better balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Strut Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, calloused feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back. But keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all. A $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts. Be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
Embarrassment turns into tears for one unsuspecting mother while dining with her husband at a local restaurant.
Yeah, her husband stands up to make a very public announcement. Take a look at this.
Got a lovely lady here with me tonight. Just wanted to let her know how much we love her with our family. She's been nothing short of a blessing and a gift to our entire family. She's a little embarrassed right now, and that's okay. So with saying that, sorry to interrupt your dinner, but wanted to give back to her a gift and give her a gift of her soldier, her son, home from Afghanistan. So welcome home your son, Staff Sergeant David Brandy.
Wow, that gave me chills when she perked up like that. The homecoming went viral and was posted on welcomehomeblog.com, a site filled with surprise military homecomings. Wow, that's great to see.
Oh, that brings tears to my eyes. What a wonderful surprise for her. Oh, it's so nice to see all these wonderful homecomings when soldiers surprise their kids and
their
wives. They
go through so much overseas and the families go through so much back home. Wow, neat to see that reunion.
Yeah. That's all the time we have for this edition of NewsWatch.
Of course, you can email us your comments and questions at NewsWatch. Have a great night.